Have you ever climbed a single flight of stairs and wondered why your legs suddenly felt heavier than they used to? Or noticed that your hands and feet stay cold, even when the room is warm? Most people blame age. But sometimes, your blood vessels are quietly asking for help long before they cause obvious symptoms. The unsettling part is that the damage often builds slowly. Not over days, over years. And many of the foods that seem perfectly ordinary can gradually support unhealthy changes in your blood vessels when eaten too often as part of an overall unhealthy diet. Could one of them already be sitting in your kitchen today? Perhaps you've done everything you believed was right. You avoid smoking. You try to stay active. You even watch your blood pressure. Yet you still feel unusually tired after a short walk, or notice your recovery isn't what it once was. What if there is another piece of the puzzle that deserves your attention? Healthy blood vessels quietly nourish every organ in your body. They help support your heart, brain, kidneys, and muscles every single minute. When they lose their flexibility over time, your body may begin sending subtle signals that are easy to dismiss. Are those little signs really as harmless as they seem? The reassuring news is that understanding these everyday foods doesn't mean giving up everything you enjoy. In many cases, small, practical changes can support healthier eating patterns and complement the guidance of your healthcare professional. Sometimes the simplest adjustments have the greatest long-term value. Stay with me until the very end, because the final food on today's list surprises even many health-conscious people. It's often considered harmless, yet many people consume it every week without realizing how it may fit into the bigger picture of vascular health. Once you recognize it, you'll never look at your grocery basket in quite the same way again. Let's begin with a food that appears in millions of homes every single day. White bread. Soft. Warm. Familiar. For many people, it has been part of breakfast for decades. Toast with butter. A sandwich at lunch. Bread beside dinner. It feels harmless because it has always been there. But our bodies change with age. What was easy to handle at 40 may be very different after 60. White bread is made from highly refined flour. During processing, much of the natural fiber is removed. Without that fiber, the carbohydrates are digested much more quickly. This can cause blood sugar to rise faster after a meal. Over time, frequent blood sugar spikes may contribute to inflammation and place extra stress on the inner lining of blood vessels, especially when combined with other risk factors such as physical inactivity, excess body weight, or diabetes. The inside of every healthy blood vessel is lined with delicate cells called the endothelium. Think of this lining as a smooth, protective surface. When it stays healthy, blood flows more easily. When it becomes irritated over many years, the vessels may gradually lose some of their flexibility. This process doesn't happen overnight. It develops quietly. Many people never notice until their doctor mentions elevated blood pressure or other cardiovascular concerns during a routine visit. Have you ever eaten breakfast and felt hungry again only an hour later? That isn't always about eating too little. Meals made mostly from refined carbohydrates often leave people feeling less satisfied than meals containing fiber, healthy fats, and protein. Your body asks for more. Another slice. Another snack. Another quick bite. Without realizing it, the cycle repeats. The encouraging news is that you don't have to eliminate bread completely. Many people find that choosing whole grain bread with higher fiber content helps them feel full longer and supports steadier blood sugar levels. Pairing bread with eggs, yogurt, beans, avocado, or nuts can also create a more balanced meal. Small adjustments, long-term benefits, and the next food may surprise even more people, because it's often advertised as a healthier choice. Yet many varieties contain far more sugar than most shoppers ever expect. Let's take a closer look. The next food wears a healthy disguise: flavored yogurt. It sits in the refrigerated section beside foods promoted for wellness. The packaging shows fresh fruit, bright colors, words like light, natural, or low-fat. It feels like a smart choice. But turning the container around can reveal a very different story. Many flavored yogurts contain surprising amounts of added sugar, sometimes nearly as much as a dessert. When we consume large amounts of added sugar regularly, blood glucose rises more rapidly. Over many years, especially in people with diabetes, prediabetes, or other cardiovascular risk factors, This may contribute to inflammation and make it harder to maintain healthy blood vessels. The concern isn't yogurt itself. Plain yogurt can be a nutritious food, providing protein and beneficial bacteria that support overall health. The issue is what has been added. As we grow older, our metabolism often becomes less forgiving. The body may not handle repeated sugar surges as efficiently as it once did. You may not notice the effects immediately, but your blood vessels experience every meal, day after day, year after year. Have you ever reached for a flavored yogurt because you wanted something healthy, only to feel hungry again before lunchtime? That quick return of hunger is common when a meal contains plenty of added sugar but not enough protein or fiber to keep you satisfied. A simple change can make a meaningful difference. Choose plain Greek yogurt or unsweetened natural yogurt whenever possible. Then add your own fresh berries, sliced apple, cinnamon, or a handful of chopped nuts. You stay in control of the sweetness, and you gain more fiber, healthy fats, or protein along the way. Sometimes the healthiest meal isn't the one with the brightest label. It's the one with the shortest ingredient list. Now let's talk about something hiding in plain sight. It's found in soups, frozen dinners, canned foods, sauces, and countless convenience meals. Many people rarely taste it. Yet too much of it can quietly influence blood pressure and place extra strain on your blood vessels over time. Let's uncover what it is. Now we come to an ingredient that almost never gets the blame. You can't always see it. You may not even taste it. Yet it appears in countless everyday foods. Sodium. Not the small amount your body naturally needs. The concern is the large amounts often hidden in processed and packaged foods. A bowl of canned soup. A frozen dinner after a long day. Packaged deli meats. Instant noodles. Ready-made sauces. Even foods that don't taste particularly salty can contain surprisingly high levels of sodium. This is why many people consume far more than they realize. When sodium intake is consistently high, it can cause the body to retain more fluid. For some people, this may contribute to higher blood pressure, increasing the workload on the heart and blood vessels over time. High blood pressure is often called a silent condition for a reason. Many people feel completely normal. No pain, no warning. Life goes on as usual. Meanwhile, the heart continues working harder with every beat. The blood vessels remain under greater pressure, year after year. Perhaps you've noticed that your rings feel tighter in the evening, or your ankles seem slightly swollen after a salty restaurant meal. Those changes can sometimes reflect temporary fluid retention. They don't necessarily mean something serious is happening, but they are reminders that what we eat has immediate effects inside the body. The encouraging part is that reducing sodium doesn't mean eating bland food. Fresh herbs, garlic, lemon juice, black pepper, paprika. These simple ingredients can add rich flavor without relying heavily on salt. Cooking more meals at home also gives you control over how much sodium goes into your food. Even reading nutrition labels can become a powerful habit. Two similar products may look identical, yet one may contain nearly twice the sodium of the other. That small choice, repeated over months and years, can support healthier blood pressure and overall cardiovascular health. But the next food may be the most unexpected so far. Many people grew up believing it was the perfect breakfast. Some still start every morning with it. Few realize how heavily processed many versions have become. And that difference matters more than most people think. Let's talk about breakfast cereal. Not the plain oats your grandparents may have enjoyed. Not simple whole grains. We're talking about the colorful, highly processed cereals that promise energy, vitamins, and a great start to the day. They often look wholesome. Pictures of grains, fresh fruit, happy families around the breakfast table. But the nutrition label can tell a different story. Many popular cereals contain refined grains, added sugars, and relatively little fiber. Some are digested so quickly that they can cause a rapid rise in blood sugar, especially when eaten alone. For older adults, repeated spikes in blood sugar may gradually affect metabolic health and, over time, contribute to conditions that increase the risk of cardiovascular disease. Another challenge is portion size. The serving listed on the box is often much smaller than what most people actually pour into a bowl. Without realizing it, a single breakfast can provide far more sugar and refined carbohydrates than expected. Have you ever eaten a bowl of cereal and felt hungry before the morning was over? That experience is common. A breakfast lacking enough protein and fiber may not keep you satisfied for very long. Your body starts asking for another snack, and the cycle begins again. The good news is that breakfast doesn't have to become complicated. Simple rolled oats topped with berries and a handful of walnuts can provide fiber and healthy fats. Plain Greek yogurt with fresh fruit is another balanced option. Adding eggs or a small serving of nuts can also help increase protein, supporting longer-lasting fullness. The goal isn't perfection. It's creating meals that nourish your body steadily instead of sending it on a roller coaster. Healthy habits are built one breakfast at a time. Now, the next food is one that many people enjoy with their afternoon tea. It's crisp. It's convenient. It seems innocent because it's sold almost everywhere. Yet behind that satisfying crunch is a combination that blood vessels rarely appreciate over the long term. Let's see what it is. Now let's look at a snack that often disappears almost without notice. Crackers. A few with cheese. A handful while making dinner. Something to enjoy with an afternoon cup of tea. They seem small, almost insignificant. But many packaged crackers are made with refined flour, added sodium, and unhealthy fats, depending on the brand. Some varieties also contain very little fiber. That combination can make them easy to overeat, because they don't leave you feeling satisfied for very long. One cracker becomes five. Five becomes half the packet. And before you realize it, you've eaten far more than you intended. It's not about a lack of self-control. These foods are often designed to be highly palatable, encouraging you to reach for just one more. Over time, regularly eating foods high in refined carbohydrates and sodium may contribute to dietary patterns associated with higher cardiovascular risk. Another challenge is what often accompanies crackers: processed meats, creamy spreads, salty cheeses. Together, the meal can become much higher in sodium and saturated fat than it first appears. That doesn't mean crackers must disappear from your pantry forever. The key is choosing wisely. Look for whole grain varieties with a shorter ingredient list and higher fiber content. Pay attention to the sodium listed on the nutrition label. And instead of eating directly from the package, place a reasonable portion on a small plate. It's a simple habit that helps many people become more mindful of how much they're eating. Better yet, pair those crackers with foods that add lasting nourishment. Hummus, unsalted nuts, fresh vegetables, sliced cucumber, cherry tomatoes. These combinations provide more fiber and nutrients while making the snack more satisfying. Sometimes it's not a single food that quietly affects your blood vessels. It's the pattern. The little choices repeated every day, and the next food may surprise almost everyone. It's found in many healthy drinks. People often believe they're making one of the best choices for their heart. Yet some bottles contain far more sugar than a can of soda. Let's uncover the truth. Now let's turn our attention to something many people drink without a second thought: fruit juice. It comes from fruit. It contains vitamins, so it must be healthy. At least, that's what many of us have believed for years. The truth is a little more complicated. Whole fruit contains fiber. That fiber helps slow the absorption of natural sugars and contributes to a feeling of fullness. But when fruit is turned into juice, much of that fiber is removed. What's left is a drink that can deliver a large amount of sugar in just a few minutes. Even juices labeled 100% fruit juice can contain as much natural sugar as several pieces of fruit. The difference is that few people would sit down and eat 4 or 5 oranges at once. But it's easy to drink the juice from that many oranges in a single glass. For older adults, especially those managing diabetes or prediabetes, large amounts of fruit juice can make blood sugar more difficult to control. Over time, keeping blood sugar within a healthy range is one important part of supporting healthy blood vessels and overall cardiovascular health. Then there are fruit drinks and juice cocktails. Their labels often feature beautiful fruit, bright colors, words that sound refreshing. Yet many contain added sugars and only a small percentage of actual fruit juice. Reading the label carefully can reveal a very different product than the picture suggests. Does this mean you should never enjoy juice? Not at all. The goal is balance. A small serving can certainly fit into a healthy eating pattern for many people. But reaching for whole fruit more often gives your body the fiber, vitamins, and nutrients working together just as nature intended. An apple, a pear, a handful of berries, These choices satisfy hunger in a way juice rarely can. And don't forget one of the simplest drinks of all: water. Staying well hydrated helps support many normal body functions, including healthy circulation. Sometimes the healthiest beverage isn't the one with the most attractive label. It's the one that's been there all along. But the next food may be the most difficult to recognize. It doesn't look especially unhealthy. It isn't always sweet. It often hides inside foods people buy every single week, and many don't realize how frequently they're eating it. The next food isn't something most people think about, because it's not really a meal. It's a topping, a spread, something added almost without thinking: mayonnaise. Whether it's spread on a sandwich, mixed into potato salad, or stirred into tuna, mayonnaise has become a familiar part of many everyday recipes. The concern isn't that mayonnaise is automatically harmful. In fact, some varieties are made with healthier oils than others. The real issue is how easily the calories and saturated fat can add up, particularly when mayonnaise is paired with highly processed foods. Think about a typical deli sandwich: white bread, processed meat, cheese, a generous layer of mayonnaise. Each ingredient on its own may seem reasonable. Together, they can create a meal high in sodium, saturated fat, and refined carbohydrates. When this pattern becomes routine over many years, it may contribute to conditions associated with cardiovascular disease, including elevated cholesterol levels in some people. Another challenge is portion size. Most people don't measure mayonnaise. A tablespoon can quickly become 2 or 3. That small extra spoonful may not seem important today, but daily habits have a way of quietly shaping long-term health. If you enjoy creamy textures, there are simple alternatives worth trying. Plain Greek yogurt can work well in many salads and sandwich spreads. Mashed avocado offers healthy unsaturated fats along with fiber. Even mixing a small amount of mayonnaise with yogurt can reduce calories while keeping the flavor you enjoy. The goal isn't to fear one particular food. It's to build meals where vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, legumes, and healthy fats take center stage. Small substitutions, made consistently, can support healthier eating without making meals feel restrictive. Now we're getting close to the foods that surprise people the most. The next one is served at celebrations, restaurants, family gatherings, and even quick lunches. Many people think of it as a source of protein, but depending on how it's prepared, it may carry far more than protein alone. Let's take a closer look. Now let's talk about processed meats: ham, bacon, sausages, hot dogs, salami. For many families, these foods have been part of breakfast, lunch, or holiday meals for generations. They're convenient, they're flavorful, and they seem like an easy way to add protein. But convenience often comes with trade-offs. Many processed meats are high in sodium. Some also contain preservatives, such as nitrites, that help extend shelf life and maintain color. Research has found that regularly eating large amounts of processed meat is associated with a higher risk of cardiovascular disease and other chronic health conditions, although many lifestyle factors also play a role. The concern isn't an occasional serving at a family gathering. It's the habit of relying on these foods day after day. Imagine a typical lunch: a processed meat sandwich, packaged chips, a sugary drink. On its own, it may seem like a quick, satisfying meal. But repeated over months and years, this pattern can increase sodium intake while leaving less room for foods that naturally support heart and vascular health. Have you ever noticed feeling unusually thirsty after eating processed meats? That's often because of their high sodium content. Your body works to maintain balance, and excess sodium can increase the need for fluids. For some people, particularly those with high blood pressure, reducing processed meats can be one practical step toward improving overall dietary quality. The encouraging news is that protein doesn't have to come from highly processed foods. Fresh chicken, turkey, fish, beans, lentils, eggs. These options provide valuable nutrients while generally containing less sodium when prepared at home. Even small changes can make a meaningful difference. Replacing just a few processed meat meals each week with fresher alternatives can support healthier eating patterns over time. Remember, protecting your blood vessels isn't about chasing perfection. It's about giving your body more of what it needs and less of what quietly works against it. Now we're down to the final two foods. The next one is hiding in kitchens, restaurants, and takeout meals everywhere. Most people never notice it, because it isn't the food itself, it's the oil the food is cooked in, and that detail may matter far more than many people realize. Now we come to a food that rarely looks unhealthy when it's served. Golden, crispy, fresh from the fryer, French fries, fried chicken, breaded fish, fried pastries. Even vegetables can take on a very different nutritional profile after deep frying. The issue isn't simply the food itself, it's what happens during the cooking process. When foods are deep fried, they absorb oil, increasing their calorie content. Some frying methods, especially when oil is reused many times or heated to very high temperatures, can produce compounds that researchers are studying for their potential effects on long-term health. For people already living with high blood pressure, high cholesterol, diabetes, or heart disease, regularly eating deep-fried foods may make it more difficult to maintain an overall heart-healthy eating pattern. Think about how easy it is. A quick stop for fast food after a busy afternoon, a basket of fries shared with friends, a piece of fried chicken because it's convenient. None of these choices defines your health. But when they become routine, they can gradually crowd out foods that better support healthy blood vessels. The good news is that you don't have to give up the flavors you love. Many foods become wonderfully crisp when baked or cooked in an air fryer using only a small amount of oil. Roasted potatoes with herbs, oven-baked chicken, crispy cauliflower. These alternatives deliver satisfying texture while reducing the amount of added fat. Choosing oils also matters. When cooking at home, using unsaturated oils in appropriate amounts, such as olive or canola oil, can be part of a balanced dietary pattern. The biggest difference often comes from how often fried foods appear on your plate, not whether you enjoy them occasionally. And now we've reached the final food. This one surprises more people than any other. It doesn't always taste overly sweet. It hides in products marketed as healthy. It appears in sauces, breads, cereals, drinks, and even foods labeled low-fat. Once you start noticing it, you'll begin seeing it almost everywhere. Here it is. The food ingredient that quietly finds its way into more meals than almost anything else. Added sugar. Not the natural sugar found in fresh fruit or plain milk. We're talking about the sugars added during processing to improve flavor, texture, or shelf life. They're hiding in places many people never expect. Bread, pasta sauces, salad dressings, breakfast cereals, granola bars, flavored coffee drinks. Even products advertised as low-fat often replace fat with extra sugar to keep the taste appealing. This is why so many people consume far more added sugar than they realize. A teaspoon here, another spoonful there. A sweetened drink in the afternoon. A dessert after dinner. None of these choices seem significant on its own. But together, they can become a daily habit. Over time, diets consistently high in added sugars may contribute to weight gain, insulin resistance, and difficulty managing blood sugar. These conditions are well-established risk factors for cardiovascular disease and can affect the health of your blood vessels over many years. The encouraging part is that awareness changes everything. You don't need to count every gram. You don't need to fear every treat. You simply need to become a more informed shopper. Take a few extra seconds to read the nutrition label. Compare two similar products. Choose the one with less added sugar whenever practical. Prepare more meals at home when you can. Fill your plate with vegetables, whole grains, beans, nuts, lean proteins, and fresh fruit. These simple habits work together to support healthy circulation, heart health, and overall well-being. Remember, your blood vessels don't expect perfection. They respond to patterns. The small decisions you make today become the foundation of how you feel years from now. If one message stays with you after this video, let it be this. Healthy aging isn't built through one dramatic change. It's built through hundreds of small, consistent choices. Every balanced meal, every walk around the neighborhood, every glass of water instead of a sugary drink, every label you take a moment to read. Those decisions matter, perhaps more than you ever imagined. If you found this information helpful, consider subscribing for more evidence-informed health content designed to help you stay active, independent, and confident as you age. And I'd love to hear from you. Which of these everyday foods surprised you the most? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your experience may encourage someone else to make a positive change today. Thank you for spending these moments with me. Take good care of yourself, and I'll see you in the next video.